Hi, this is Chen Yujing. So many people in school worried that whether the skill and knowledge suit to the requirement of the company. Today, we have a guest speaker who is the CEO from the Rooms for Change organization to talk about the leadership and the transferability between the skills and the requirement.
Well, Rooms for Change is an organization that was created out of my desire to follow my passion. So I worked with foster youth for many years and then created a design consultancy. And I decided that I should put the two together. And so my organization's mission is to make sure that children coming out of foster care in the Bay Area have homes that really do support their lives, that really help them create for themselves and for their community the kind of life that most anyone would expect.
How is running a nonprofit different than a for-profit organization?
You know, it's interesting because people believe that there's this huge difference in a nonprofit and a for-profit organization, but there really isn't. The only difference is that nonprofit organizations generally have a cause, and so it's relative to the people, whereas the actual day-to-day running of the organization, it's not that different. You have to have an infrastructure, you have to have systems, you have to have policies, and you have to have the same thing in a for-profit organization, and the structure is very much the same.
What quality and traits, skills, and the situation make an effective or ineffective leader in your organization?
So we're talking about leadership, and leadership in Rooms for Change looks different at times. It really just depends on the situation because leadership is so many things. Leadership is knowing what you don't know. Leadership is knowing how to have the best people. It's knowing how to care for and shepherd the people that work for you. And in Rooms for Change, my organization is so different than most because I'm it. I don't have a staff of 100. What I have are volunteers who work with me, and what I do is provide an environment where they really do get an opportunity to be fulfilled, to be able to really shine at what they do. So for me, leadership in that situation is knowing what I don't know, knowing enough to bring in those people who do know.
When developing good leadership for a organization, what else should be considered?
You have to consider the culture. What is the culture that you want to promote in your organization? What is it that you want to be present? So for some people like at Google, they make sure that their people are comfortable. They don't have to worry about anything. They wear their comfortable clothes. They feed them. They take care of them while they're at work. And that's the Google culture. Organizations weren't always that way. There is a new paradigm that's coming about in terms of leadership. And that leadership style is changing. We used to believe that leaders were staunch and leaders were unapproachable and leaders were, those people who just said, here, go and do what I say. Not anymore. Not anymore. And I think it's changing with the way of the world and how the world is coming about.
Then, in your opinion, what are critical skills that the student should have?
So the critical skills that students need to have in terms of learning is to have an empty basket. Not know anything. Because if you don't know, then you're available to learn and understand and experience. And so what I practice is not knowing. So I don't know who you are. So that means I then have to ask questions. The other thing that's really important, and I tell students this all the time, is that make big mistakes. Make big ones. Because when you play really big, when you really try things that you wouldn't normally try, that might seem a little scary to you, if you try those things, you're either going to fail or succeed, and both is about learning.
How do community-based organizations play a critical role in reducing this transferability gap in higher education, especially among students? What else can students learn from this practitioner perspective, in addition to leadership, that can enhance their development?
I think it's a real skill level because you first have to understand that they possibly have their own understanding of what that experience is going to be. And so does the community-based organization. So it's really, asking those questions. What do you want to learn? What's important to you? and also explaining how the organization works and what my role is, and also what the role of the student is, because it's really, really important. If you understand what your role is, you'll understand what you can and cannot do, where your boundaries are, which are really important. And so learning from the possible frustration of the fact that you have this theory and you try to put it into practice, but it doesn't fit. So understanding that what you then do is regroup and take a look at the reality of that situation, and then making yourself available to fit into that situation, and bringing your information and inquisitiveness, which I'm hoping students will all have, to that situation, which is going to help you, but also help the community partner.
What opportunity might exist for students to get involved in your organization to build this transferable skill?
Organizations to build these transferability skills?
Well, I've been working with students from USF for a number of years, and so I've had many students come to interact with Rooms for Change, and I can tell you the best experience has been when youth come into the organization and bring all of themselves. Not just themselves as a student, but themselves as a person, themselves as a youth, themselves as a young adult, and really pay attention to the clients, I'm changing that, not clients anymore, but they're consumers now. So the consumers that we're serving, when youth are able to see that they're no different than the USF students that are providing them this service, they can then connect and say, you know what, they're doing something, maybe I can do that same thing. That's really important, because what you're doing is you're providing an example. And so being that example for these young people is really, really important. Rooms for Change. You can contact us. We have a website, www.roomsforchange.org, and we also have email that you can contact us at. And the email address is roomsforchange@yahoo.com. We'd love to hear from you. We want to get as much information as we can out there about the organization, and we want you to be served as well. So thank you so much.